Shalom, giving all praise to Yahweh by Shem Yahushua by Shem Kakodash. Giving all praises to Yahweh by Shem Yahushua by Shem Kakodash. And shalom to the hopefully elect out there. Anyway, I'm going to entitle this video, For Jealousy is the Rage of a Man, Adultery and let me bring it up, Tyre Nichols case. Okay, you see right here, and I'm pretty sure everybody watched it, the beating that the chief of police said to her was worse than Rodney King beating. Okay, this is Tyre Nichols. All right. They're honoring this man in his death. Here's an image of him. Now, what happened was he was pulled over. They pull him out of the car. I think this was the first time that they pulled him over. Then he ran. And he was doing pretty well. He was, I believe he worked for UPS. UPS, you make pretty good. You ever go to the UPS? I worked for them for a stint way back in my 20s. But you go to the UPS parking lot where these guys come out after work, after shift. They're leaving in Mercedes Benz, and they leaving in, you know, they leaving in whips, so to speak. They got the money. A lot of them got houses. So, you work a couple of years UPS, you're covered benefit wise, money wise. So they're considered, middle class, upper middle class. The car that he got out of, I didn't get a full picture of the car that he was driving. Let me do this. Let me try this. You can't, but you can see that this is the car. I believe this is the car that he was in, that they tried to pull him out. Let me see. Try to get some more pictures. Now going to my topic on the topic of adultery. Trying to get some clear pictures here. This is his car. This is him being dragged out. But you can see he's got he ain't driving around in a hoopty. Okay, I believe this is a Nissan, but this is the car. This is the vehicle, which this guy wasn't no homeless guy. He wasn't no bum. All right. They made him out to be a guy that's, a skateboarder. He was a photographer as well. And it's expensive to buy. If you really into photography, you're spending thousands of dollars to get the equipment, not $1 million equipment, but you're talking thousands of dollars to get a good camera. You're talking on the low end $1,000, and on the high end $5,000. The lens, you want to get the professional lens, it can go anywhere from $5,000 to $10,000. The lens on the camera is more expensive than the camera. So this guy was a skateboarder. Hey, well, here he is, skateboarding. And like I said, he worked for the UPS. They got him in, he got a model look. He looks, he got a model. He's not an ugly guy, you know. So he can go out and get a girl. Ain't a big deal for him to go out and get a girl. You can see he's not fat and out of shape. there's a cover up. It's a big question mark to my topic. These are the Jakes. Now the whole story behind story, which is coming out now, is was this guy sleeping with one of the officers' wives, and they set him up to fuck his ass up because he was sleeping with one of the officers' wife. I don't know. That's what's coming out. The next day, I'm hearing this. I'm putting it in the YouTube uh, search engine, and I'm putting it in the Google, and a couple of videos came up. As a matter of fact, you know what? Let me do this. Let me come over here, and that you have people in. This is what it is. Was this Tennessee, if I'm not mistaken? Let me try this. Let me do this. Right over here to the news. All right, Memphis, Tennessee, right? January 10, 2023. Tyre Nichols died 3 days after a traffic stop by Memphis Police Department officers on January 7th. There's Memphis, Tennessee, and we've been through Tennessee. Now there's these police. Let me come back over here. These police are part of a unit called the Scorpion Unit. So based upon that name, they're you pretty much you think of the movie Training Day. With Alonzo and Hoyt, and how he had to get him. You had to catch the wolf. You gotta become the wolf, so to speak. You gotta have like a criminal gang mind. So these guys are basically a gang. Cops getting together, working together. There's whether they want to be a gang or not, they're a gang because it's a mentality. When you're around people, when you're around the same group of people, your friends, your closest friends, and y'all been through the, hard times and good times, you needed money, you become family. So if anybody else messes with you, your friends come to your aid. Well, that's a gang mentality, whether you want it to be or not. These guys were part of a gang. And they showed you that in the movie Training Day. There one scene where the guy pulled out, I think it was Alonzo, or he pulled up his arm and there was a tattoo there. And it's big. There's a lot of stories in LA, and I'm pretty sure it's around the country too. But LA, there's a lot of, when you join the police, any police department in LA, you are recruited into a gang. So they're police, but then they're a gang, because the mentality is you're going up against gangs. So you got to have a gang mentality. So these are the guys. Now, if that's true, but it's going to come out anyway, that this man had an adulterous affair with one of these officers' wives. 4 of them are going to should be found guilty for murder, and one of them should be let off because he's justified by killing this guy because he slept with his wife. But he should have went home and killed his wife too. So we'll know in time. We'll know in time. But there's people in Memphis that know of the affair, whether it's true or not, So here he is. And as you see on the film, they said it was one guy that was beating them the worst. After they handcuffed him, the guy was throwing haymakers at him. And then when he was laying down half dead, they didn't help. They were just standing around talking. So if it was, it's a big if it was in a case of adultery, Well, the cop that the police officer that was involved in this thing, if it's involving his wife and that was the motive, then they got to let him off according to biblical law. See what they do with Jake, even though it's not a good thing, but when Jake gets killed, a lot of them got criminal records 10 miles long. You know, they got a bunch of baby mamas that they got to deal with that they're not paying child support. They probably beat women, all kind of sell drugs, all kind of shit, man, all kind of wickedness. But then when they get killed, they'll bring out a picture of him when he was in sixth grade, but he's graduating from the kindergarten or something, and they're talking about how good he was. But if this man committed the act of adultery with one of these guys' wives, then the one that's married to the wife, they got to let him. They got to look. Okay, we're bringing out the biblical law, which is supreme law of the land, pursuant to Ronald Reagan. I believe that was 83, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the Bible. Let me do this. Let me do this. I'm gonna give you a bunch of precepts. Let me say year of the Bible, Ronald Reagan. Okay, so we have pictures. Let me do this. The Congress of the United States, in recognition of the unique contribution of the Bible in shaping the history and character of this nation. I thought I heard the phone. The phone's getting ready to ring anyway because the bishop is going to call. And so many of its citizens has by Senate Joint Resolution 165 authorized, and requested the president to designate the year 1983 as the year of the Bible, Ronald Reagan. So what he's saying is the Bible is the supreme law of the land. So it goes above and beyond the Constitution. I want to get okay. What is public law 97 to 80? On October 4th, 1982, so it was 1982, Congress passed Public Law 97-280, declaring 1983 the year of the Bible. The statute recognizes that the biblical teachings inspired concepts of civil government that are contained in our Declaration of Independence. So they're pretty much saying that, and it's also, okay, you had public law 97-280, and then there was another law. It's another number of laws. I used to know it off the top of my head, but we can go with that. So this is the supreme law of the land. So, they bring out certain laws, color of law, and you ultimately bring out the scriptures that trumps color of law, that trumps ordinances, statutes, that trumps the Constitution. So they have to yield to the supreme law of the land. So all this man has to do, let me find him back. And we cover everything, man. We don't get caught up in emotions either. Oh my God, what they did. And I got caught up in emotions. Them niggas, what the fuck they did, man? What the fuck? Well, it was over adultery. It was a setup. And he probably didn't go. He probably didn't go through a stop sign or nothing like that. But what he did was he went through a different stop sign. But it's a big if. It's a big if. I don't want to talk bad about the man. He's in the spiritual realm. But if he committed adultery, the one officer's got to be set free. So that could be a defense. You got a wife, man, and you find out there's another man, laying with your wife. You gonna and you into your you really love your wife. You know, you really, really love your wife, and she's doing this, she's playing it off. She's coming home kissing you, hi daddy, and all this. But then she's, you know, when you go to work, she wouldn't really. That's why they both got put to death. Let me see, I'm trying to find this again. Bear me for a minute. Well, the only thing I had it was the scriptures. So anyway, and this is why we here at Great Millstone, we don't have women. You ain't gonna see no woman in lawn chairs or beach chairs sitting down while we're speaking. You ain't gonna see no kids running around. You know. Now, I remember uh, the phone's getting ready to ring in a minute, so I'm gonna leave for about 30 seconds. Anyway, I remember I was put in charge. I was a sergeant of arms at the camp because we only had one camp at that time, one big camp. I was the one that said, look, we should break up the camps and have more than one camp. We don't have to have 50 guys in one camp. And that's what they used to do. Before I got in, they would go to 44th and Broadway by the 1515 building at the mailbox. And there'd be 50 brothers, man, 50, 60 brothers, and they're arguing over time. And all them guys, they fell off. It's the ones that remained was really the seven. You had all these guys with different ranks. They all fell off at one time or another. So when I came in, I said, I used to speak to Aria, and I said, Aria, I said, why? Because they used to go on 34th Street on Sundays. I'm sorry, on Saturdays, and then they would go to 44th on Sundays. See, we used to go out Saturdays and Sundays, but we go out, we go out on Saturdays. Sundays is off because you got to do, if you're working all week, you need a day to chill out. All right. So on Saturdays, we used to go to 34th Street. On Sundays, we used to go to 44th Street. So I was on 34th Street. I told Aria, I said, Aria, why don't we just break the campus big? Why don't we just break the camp up? So you have the 44th camp going on a Saturday and 34th Street on a Saturday. And then Sundays, 44th Street, because 34th Street on Sundays was dead. It was live and popping on Saturdays. So he said, had a meeting. He said, yeah, we're going to do that. So we split the camp up. And that led to many different splits of different camps in different areas of the city and ultimately some of the states, Jersey and so forth. But it was me that put the suggestion out. Because if I hadn't said nothing, you would have had, we got 100 guys fighting over time. Brother, you only get 15 minutes because there's 100 of us speaking, which showed you that these guys wasn't men of the Lord. They wanted to have the power in numbers, So all those guys fell off. All those top ranked guys, they fell off. And some of the seven fell off. Some of them, seven on the spiritual realm. The rest of them are pretty much AWOL from this truth. The scriptures say others have entered into their labor. That's us. So we're the head guys. And this is why GMS, we get on like the conversation of the MOTB. You had a couple of different guys, Watchmen, whatever for Israel. And then you got SOT, Sons of Thunder. And then, of course, you got the major camps, ISUPK, teaching pretty much the same thing, and IUIC. We're the number one defenders of that. And then when it actually comes out and they set up them stations, you're going to have a lot of people. I've been saying that. There's going to be a big shakeup, man. They're not going to know what to do. Their leaders are not going to have answers for them as to whether to take it or not. Anyway, let me go on to my subject. Let me give you these precepts. And I got a bunch of precepts that I put together. Normally, I don't put precepts together. I'll just start speaking and precept come to mind. But I put a lot of. So get your pens and paper. Get your mental Rolodex, whatever you call it, out and take these notes. There's a lot of scriptures. And I could have put a lot more, but these are some of the major ones, which there's about It's about what, 20 precepts or more. So I'm gonna open up with the first one. Deuteronomy. Try to move fast too. Deuteronomy 5, verse 18. Neither shalt thou commit adultery. So let's look up the word adultery. And the penalty for adultery is death. There's a sin unto death. That's in the New Testament. Give me a second. It's Elder Bishop Sakaran. Hold up. Anyway, forgive me for that. So I clicked on the word adultery, and the word is na'ap. Adultery, adultery, adulterous. Women that break wedlock. Not men that break wedlock, women that break wedlock. Because adultery occurs if a man and a woman get together and the woman steps out on the man, not if the man steps out on the woman. Now, in the New Testament, our Lord spoke about adultery. He says if a man steps out on a woman, that's adultery too. No, if a man steps out with a woman with another woman that's married to a different man, that's adultery. So a man could have more than one woman. Then it also says a man that leaves his wife causes his wife to commit adultery. Women that break wedlock to commit adultery. Usually, now if this law was applied, 90% of the people in America would be dead. All right. That's why it's important to establish the law in the kingdom, because our kingdom is going to be an orderly kingdom. You got all these wild ass kids doing wild things, Jakes, you know, these Jakes that have a criminal mind, they're killing one another, they robbing, they stealing, they busting into places, stealing cars, grand theft auto. See, there's a law in Deuteronomy where it says if you have a stubborn child that doesn't want to do anything, you was to take them to the judges, the husband and the wife, and they would gather together the men of that town and they would stone them to death. And that was usually around the age of around 12, 13, because that's when you became a man. So your character starts to, come together. You start to work and all that. And because if you didn't put him to death at that early age, he was going to become a damn nuisance to society. And see, you a lot of the Jake kids, you do what you do because you were raised up by your mother and you wasn't raised up under the law of the scriptures. So in the kingdom of heaven, we're going to stay with our woman. We're not going to be divorcing our woman. Ain't going to be no divorce in the kingdom. Is it to commit adultery, a man actually of a woman, right? A man actually of woman. It's the woman that commits adultery, not the man, unless he lays with another man's wife. Idolatrous worship. Like you got Baptist, Methodist, Jehovah's Witness. You have the Kemetic community. You have Islam. You have the Moors. You have Buddhism. You have all these different religions that Jake flocked to. Well, that's spiritual. That's spiritual adultery. The scriptures speak about that too. And this is a sin unto death. Let me see if I can find that. Sin unto death. Let's see if it pops up. Okay, I found it. Let me read Romans 6 verse 16. Know ye not that to whom ye yield yourselves servants to obey, this his servant ye are to whom ye obey, whether of sin unto death or of disobedience unto righteousness. And ultimately that charagma, this is a charagma scripture right here. Because when you follow your master, the beast, the image of the beast, and you take the charagma, it's whether of a sin unto death. Because it's a sin unto death. It's not sin, it's a sin. 1 John 5 verse 16, if any man see his brother sin and sin a sin which is not unto death, he shall ask, and he shall give him life for them that sin not unto death. There's sins that you commit that you make a penalty, you do a sacrificial act for it, or you pay somebody, you steal something, a cattle, you got to pay them back for cattle, that's civil law. But there's certain sins that are unto death. Adultery is one of them. Breaking the Sabbath is another one. You broke the Sabbath in any way, you got put to death. The man picking up sticks on the Sabbath got put to death. Now, why did the Most High say put fringes on the border of your garments? When you read up above that, because the man bent down to pick up sticks. So if a man was going to bend down and pick up sticks, he's going to see them fringes and he's going to say, oh, I better not pick up them sticks. It's the Sabbath. That's why it's at the border of your garment. Read the story. Read it in Numbers. There is a sin unto death. Adultery is one of them. I do not say that he shall pray for it. There's a sin unto death. Okay, next precept. Like I said, I'm just going to move fast. I'm going to go into these precepts. And you can read a couple of verses above and a couple of verses below. I'll start from the first verse, and I may read the third verse. Hear the word of Yahweh, ye sons of Israel, supposed to be sons. Banyam Yasha'Allah. For Yahweh hath a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of the Most High in the land. Because they were breaking the laws. They were keeping certain laws, but they were breaking other laws. So ultimately, we were pushed out of the land. It says, by swearing and lying and killing and stealing. And what's Jake doing now? Swearing, lying, killing, stealing, and committing adultery. Like I said, if this law, the law of adultery was to apply in this country, we're talking about 9% of the people would be dead. They break out and blood touches blood. So now, if this guy, Tyre, whatever his name is, Nichols, committed adultery with one of the officers, that's the big if. And there's more information to come out on that. The one officer, they got to let him go because it says in Proverbs 16, the rage of a man. So they got to say, well, wait a minute, we got to let this man go because this man that got killed was committing the act of adultery with this man's wife. So he's set free. Now the rest of y'all got to be held on charges of murder. So he's fully exonerated. By swearing and lying and killing. By what? By swearing and lying and killing and stealing and committing adultery, they break out and blood touches blood. Now, what happened was blood touched blood when they were beating the hell out of that dude, man. And they said it was one guy that was beating the hell out of him the most after he was handcuffed. Y'all saw the video. So, if that ultimately happened to him, well, guess what? That's a judgment of the Most High. Therefore shall the land mourn, and everyone that dwelleth therein shall languish with the beasts of the field and with the fowl of the heaven. Yeah, the fishes of the sea also shall be taken away. Because we don't have no land, we don't have no cattle, we don't have nothing. All right, next precept. Okay, this is the main one that I wanted, which is Proverbs chapter 6. And I didn't even get into the precepts in the Apocrypha on adultery. So we're going to start at the 24th verse. Proverbs 6, verse 24. Keep thee from the evil woman, from the flattery of the tongue, and a strange woman. So you got guys that meet women on social media. Those women they've been around, man. They've been around and around and around, around we go. You meet a woman on the web, she a straight up hoe. Now you don't even know what your wife is doing when you working, man. And you got women that are married, and then when the husband go out to work, she got a damn camera, and she, playing with herself, and then she'll, you got to pay more money to see more stuff. And a lot of these movies, these X movies too, they got a lot of movies where they don't show the woman's face because she's married. She's leading a double life, and especially among our black women, man. Most of them, I would say 99%, 99, that's a high number. 99% of them will say that they go both ways. I'm talking about your woman, your Latino woman, your black woman. They're all freaks, man. Now, maybe 20% of Edomite women to say that. 80% say, nah, I'm just into men. That's why we say you better off getting the Edomite woman, man. Just get a concubine. I mean, look at what happened with this guy. What is his name? Michael B. Jordan. He was dealing with a lot of Edomite women, and they were getting on him about it. Then he wound up getting with what's his name? Daughter, stepdaughter, Lori. What the hell is this dude's name? The comedian. I can't even remember his name. But anyway, y'all help me out. Getting old. Anyway, he got Michael B. Jordan got with her, and he was all in love, and then she didn't want to deal with this guy. She wanted to, and this guy is one of the most eligible bachelors, on the planet at that time. All kind of Edomite women wanted to get with this guy. All kind of Latin women, Jake woman. So he gets with a Jake woman, but then she says, "I don't want to be with you. Don't stay away from this black woman, man." That's why you got a group of men called the Passport Bros. They're going to the Philippines. And there was this one video that a brother put up of an Arab woman looking good as hell, man. Looking like an Ephraimite or a Simeonite. And it was like a short video. And she said, you should consider getting a black man in America. And then she said, because they're confident, they're this, they're that, they're the third. They're not like Arab men. You should really, you Arab women should. Hey, that's the beginning that's the spirit of Isaiah chapter 4, verse 1. 7 women shall take hold of one man. It's talking about on this side of the kingdom, not in the kingdom. But in the kingdom, there's going to be more than that. 7 times 7. They had this one, I was watching the Sherry show because my demon watches it. I was at her house, so I was watching the Sherry show, and she said, this was the other day. She said the most handsome, scientifically, the most handsome man on the planet Earth was a Jake from in England. And they showed the picture of the guy, and they said, according to scientific research, he's like the perfect. He has the perfect man, and it was a Jake man. And then they said, what's his name? George Clooney. He's like number 8. He done drop some notches. So Edomite women, they if they're not getting with a Jake, they fantasizing about getting with a Jake. Like the old cracker said in Get Out, the movie Get Out, where it was at the garden party, and the big fat cracker said, there was a time when being white was in style, and he said the pendulum swung from one side to the other, and he said, and now black is back in fashion. You know what? You can catch that scene on YouTube. All right. So anyway, it says 25th verse: lust not after her beauty in thine heart, neither let her take thee with her eyelids. You got women on social media, they damn near half naked, And they show that's to get men turned off or turned on, excuse me. And a lot of them women are married or they dealing with dudes. And like I said, you got a lot of these black women, they're regretting the fact that a lot of black men are going to the Philippines, to Thailand, to I'll be watching Zoom to Thailand. That's I subscribe to Zoom to Thailand. There's this one Jake, there's a bunch of Jakes that go down there. But they got this one video called what's it called? Thai Tony Braxton. So I said, let me click on that. And it was a Thai woman that looked like Tony Braxton. Not exactly like her, but she could have been a sister or a cousin. Thai Tony Braxton. I said, you guys are out of your mind. Anyway, it says, and them Thailand women from Thailand and Philippines, they're competing for the so-called black men. You know what I mean by black men? Because we've been down too long. Black is back in fashion. Well, Israelites is back in fashion. 26th verse. For by means of a whorish woman, and they're all whores, a man is brought to a piece of bread. In other words, when you get with a woman that's a whorish woman, she'll get with you and drain you of everything that you got, and then she'll move on to the next one. And that's mainly what you black women. Ain't nobody want to be with you black woman, man. If a man is with you, that means he can't do any better. You couldn't do worse and he couldn't do better. And the adulteress will hunt for the what? The precious life. Didn't Tyre Nichols, wasn't he a precious soul? Well, that's what she hunted for. Have it happened, but it's a big if. It's a big if. If he was committed an adulterous act with one of the police officers, the police officer that has the wife, all he has to do is bring out the year of the Bible, Ronald Reagan, and say that the Bible is supreme and goes above and beyond the Constitution, and it speaks about an adultery, that adulterers should be put to death. So that with that, they would have to let him go. And they're not going to do that because they don't believe in the scriptures. Can a man take fire in his bosom and his clothes not be burned? Can one go upon hot coals and his feet not be burned? So he that goeth in to his neighbor's wife, whosoever toucheth her shall not be innocent. So ultimately, if he did that, then fuck him. All right? Don't feel sorry for the man. And that's the big if. But you know what goes on. You know what goes on in America. All kind of wickedness goes on in America, man. And ultimately, what is America? It's nothing but a big hoe. John said, I believe that's John 17. Revelation 17. John beheld a woman, and he for great admiration, meaning he lusted after that woman. Men do not despise a thief if he steals to satisfy his soul when he is hungry. Like if somebody stole something from you on a small level, and you find out the guy needs it, most time, let that guy go. I hope he needed it. If it's something, 31st verse. But if he be found, he shall restore sevenfold. In other words, you're not going to beat the guy up because he stole something from you. He shall give all the substance of his house. And that's where you get the whole lawsuit from, civil law. The guy doesn't have the money, but he owns a house. We're going to take his house. When they sued OJ in the civil court, man, they were trying to get his piano. Well, that piano, that's worth about $10,000. We're going to get that. But then they said, well, that piano was owned by his mother. So that really wasn't his. It says, but who, and OJ thing. Now, OJ, he maintained that he was innocent. We believe that he did it. The job I used to work with at Mobile, down in Manhattan. There was a there was an article when he got that's when he supposedly got found guilty or whatever, or he went to trial. There was an article where somebody wrote in, "I just had to kill the bitch." And Gabar, Apostle Gabar, tell you about it. I just had to kill the bitch. But we will. Well, if he did do it, he did it. Let's face it, he did it. But he got away. He got the dream team. But anyway, why did he do it? That's the thing. Why did he do it? Because this small hat was popping his woman, man. Talking about, oh, she left a pair of glasses. And he said, oh, I'll go take it to. First of all, how do you know where she lived? I've been going to restaurants for years. Ain't nobody know where I live. And ain't nobody, if I lost something, ain't nobody going to say, well, let me go and drop it off. All you had to do is call her, Miss Simpson, you left your glasses here. We got it, covered. So next time you come, you come back. He's going to say, oh, well, I'm going to take it. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. And then this guy's father, he said, he butchered my son. Well, if he did it with good reason. Your son was committing the act of adultery. I said, but whoso committed adultery with a woman? Notice it said, whoso committed adultery with a woman lacketh understanding. He that doeth it destroyeth his own soul. Let me read on. A wound and dishonor shall he get, and his reproach shall not be wiped away. A wound and dishonor. So as if it found out that he was popping one of the officers' wives, then we're gonna look at him a different way. He said, good for that nigga. Because that's a natural law, man. It's not, in your spirit, before you came in the truth, it ain't right for you to lay with another man's wife. You know that in your spirit. Scriptures say they have the Gentiles. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and get that. I believe that's, give me a second. We filter everything to the scriptures. If I'm not mistaken, that's Romans 2, verse 14. Let's see if I'm correct. Okay, Romans 2, verse 14. For when the Gentiles, meaning the Israelites, which have not the law, do by nature the things contained in the law, and this right here proves that these Gentiles are Israelites that didn't know that they were Israelites. Even in your Gentile mind, you knew killing somebody was wrong in your conscience. You knew laying with another man's wife was wrong in your conscience because you wouldn't want to happen to you. The law is based upon human nature. It says, give me a second. Give me a second. Getting back-to-back phone calls now. Anyway, excuse me for being rude. So let me read this again. Romans 2, verse 14. For when the Gentiles, which are Israelites, this right here proves that we're the Israelites. Before you came to the truth, you knew certain things not to do. Jake knows not to be a Mo. That's why when Jake does it, they do it, they keep it on the down low because they know in their spirit is wicked, man. For when the Gentiles, which have not the law, Israelites that don't know that they're Israelites, they don't have the law, meaning the law of Moses, do by nature, naturally, the things contained in the law. Like long before I came to the truth, I knew not to eat pork. These having not the law, meaning the law of Moses, are a law unto themselves, meaning they're keeping the law. Let me read the 15th verse. We all read the 14th verse, which show the work of the law written in their what? In their hearts. So on a low level, we are under the new covenant on a low level, but fully not. So are we in the old covenant or the new covenant? We're in between. Let me put it to you that way. We're in between. But on a low level, the new covenant is already in us. Just based on what I read. It said, which show the work of the law written in their hearts or their minds. Their conscience, which is their mind, hearts and conscience mean the same thing, also bearing witness, and their thoughts that mean while accusing or else excusing one another. So they know in the spirit that they're breaking the law or not. In the day, because the law of the Most High is based upon human nature. In the day when the Most High shall judge the secrets of men by Yahweh Shai according to my gospel. Okay, so now, okay, it says, for jealousy is the rage of a man, therefore he will not spare in the day of vengeance. He will not regard any ransom, neither will he rest content, though thou give many gifts. In other words, he's not going to be happy because you paid him, you gave him something. He said, I don't want your fucking, I want to kill you. Certain men, they'll kill their wife, kill the man that committed adultery, then kill themselves. That man is not in a good place mentally. Okay, let me do this one. I'm going to read this in I should read in the NLT copy. I'm going to read this in the NLT. Bear me for a minute. I'm going to go right to the NLT. Okay. Okay. Give me a second here. The phone rang again. It was a scam call. All right, 29th verse. So it is with a man who sleeps with another man's wife. He who embraces her will not go unpunished. Let me go to the E. ESV. So is he who goeth in to his neighbor's wife. None who touches her will go unpunished. Let me jump down to the 34th verse. For jealousy maketh a man furious, and he will not spare when he takes vengeance. 32nd verse. He who committeth adultery lacketh sense. Boy, you ain't got no sense, man. Don't you know that man will kill you? He who does it destroys himself. Right. So he destroyed himself. That was a spiritual thing. Exodus 20, we know what that is. We're going to skip that. Leviticus 20 and 10. Write these down. Hebrews 13 and 4. Let's see what that says. Come back to the KJV. Hebrews 13, verse 4. Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled. What makes the bed defiled? An adulterous act. But whoremongers and adulterers, the Most High will judge. Now, a whoremonger is a pimp. The word monger means seller, like you got a fishmonger. Let's look that up. They went off on this. A man who indulges in unlawful sexual intercourse, a fornicator, which means an adulterer. Whoremonger does not mean adulterer. Whoremonger means a pimp, someone that sells whores. The scriptures speak, and the law speaks about a man, you know, whoring out his daughter. That's a sin. You can't do that to your daughter. Let me see. Let me come back over here. Okay, Matthew 19 and 9. I'm not going to read it. I'll just speak on it. That's talking about the only justification you have for divorcing your wife is if she commits adultery. And the word there is fornication. Show you that fornication means an adulterous act. Let's see if it says that. Right? That's what I said. Except for the act of fornication, which fornication means adultery. So that one police officer, that one cop, that one popo, he's justified. All he has to do is bring the scriptures to court. They shoot that thing all the way up to the Supreme Court. And the Bible is over the Supreme Court. Give me a second. goddamn phone keeps ringing. Now, right here, right, you got Deuteronomy 22, verse 22, and that's a controversial scripture because you're dealing with the grape doctrine, right? You got First Corinthians 6, verse 9. You got First Corinthians 6, verse 9 in ESV. It says, or do you not know that the unrighteous will not inherit the kingdom of the Most High? Do not be deceived, neither the sexual or immoral, which means Moism and adultery, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, adulterers, nor men who practice Moism. Now it says something a little bit different in the King James, but in the ESV it comes straight out and says it. So you got to. Matter of fact, let me bring it up. Let me bring it up. Let me go to ESV. Or do you not know that the unrighteous will not inherit the kingdom of the Most High? Do not be deceived, neither the sexually immoral, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor men who practice Moism. And that applies to men and women. And this country pushes that. They pass laws to protect them. But then they'll say, they'll sing songs like God bless America. God ain't blessing America. He cursed America, man. No, let me hit one more, maybe two more. And like I said, I didn't even touch any scriptures on in the Apocrypha. Galatians 5, verse 19. Now the works of the spirit of the flesh are these, are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness. Fornication could also mean adultery. Let me come back to 1 Corinthians 6 and 9 in the King James, because I think I overlooked something. Bear with me for a minute. Okay. 1 Corinthians 6, verse 16. What? Know ye not that he which is joined unto an harlot is one body? For two, saith he, shall be one flesh. For fornication, every sin that is that a man doeth is without the body, but he that committeth fornication sinneth against his own body. So I want to click on the 16th verse. Okay, this is a word for harlot, a woman who sells her body for sexual uses, a, a prostitute, a whore, one who yields herself to defilement for the sake of gain. So how does she defile herself? Because she committed adultery. Her man is still living. Any woman indulging in unlawful sexual intercourse, whether for gain or for lust, of Babylon, I said that earlier, i.e. Rome. The Blue Letter believes that Babylon in Revelation is Rome. Well, they're right. They have right, because it's the new Rome, the second part of the Rome. Remember, the deadly wound was healed. The chief seat of adultery, spiritual adultery. So when you lay with a woman of a prostitute, that's a form of adultery. That's why the scriptures say that we are an adulterous generation. Because in order for you to get a woman that's not touched, you don't have to get a woman when she's like 11, 12 years old. But that's not going to happen because you got too many of our people that are caught up in their emotions. Young women get sexually active, the petting, the grabbing of the boys in school. Because I did that when I was 11. I used to smack little girls in the ass, and they used to laugh and run. And then you get them somewhere, and then you kiss them or whatever, you rub on them when you're 10 and 11. And then 12, 13, that's when you started, having sex, man. And a lot of you black women, you have your first kid when you're like 14, 15 years old, which means you were sexually active as early as 13, 14 years old. And that's big down south, man. Because that's when a man which is normally older than the woman he marries, and that's a law. You can sell a Hebrew man can sell his daughter to another Hebrew man as a slave, and that master can either say you're gonna be my wife or you're gonna be my son's wife. That's in the law. So anyway, I'm gonna say shalom. On to the next one. Shalom.